on. Got you. Yeah. Finally.
Okay.
I've posted a link in the group, so if anyone does come to join us, I'll obviously mute them down in the background, but they can obviously take part.
Right, all right, thank you.
Other than that, we'll just have a bit of a chat through and go through the format that you said on your email.
Yeah.
Is ideal, perfect. Basically, we've got a few sort of people asking about running injuries more than anything. Because obviously now we're outdoors, so it's that sort of knee pain.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I'll be scratching at the back. Yeah, I think the knees and joints are one of the main ones, really.
Uh-huh. Yeah. Cool. Okay. So, but are you sort of advising people on running then? Because then obviously that's not on a live class.
No, I think it's just a case of, especially now the weather's got a little bit better, people making the most of that hour's exercise and getting out and about, really. Because obviously if they can't get to the gym, etc., they're needing to find other ways to train. So even if it's just sort of walking, because I mean, obviously we're up north in North Yorkshire, so there's a lot of hills, a lot of really nice walks to get out there. But if it's something you're not used to, then you could obviously develop some sort of injuries and niggles if you're not prepared for it. And then the other flip side is obviously everyone's working from home now, so hunched over, not necessarily in the best desks in the world or anything else. So
yeah, exactly. Right. So just looking at the time, 3 minutes.
Yeah.
So has Joe Kirby started? Can they hear us?
Can you hear us, Jess?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Yeah.
Oh, hello. Hi. So I'm going to start in a couple of minutes, but I mean, do you have a question at the moment?
Not really. I mean, I do quite a lot of running and loads of different exercises, really. For me, it's probably more like knee pain.
Right.
With running.
Okay.
So I don't know if that's maybe because I don't stretch enough or just that I'm putting too much pressure on my knees.
Right. Okay. So first, so how far do you run and how often?
I run 5K about 2 to 3 times a week. Right.
And is this something that you've done for a while, or are you only recently started running?
No, I've run I run quite a lot, but more so now since we've been in lockdown.
Right. So before lockdown, how far did you run and how often?
5K again, but probably not definitely not 3 times a week. But obviously, I'd still be doing like other exercise.
Right. Okay. Right. So with other exercise, what would you have done for your legs before?
Just general stuff at the gym, like weight training, cardio stuff. I play rugby as well, and I dance. So.
Oh, right. Fantastic. Right. Okay. So the advice on warming up, so the last research that I read is that while you certainly should do something to warm up, stretching is really only stretching the areas that are stiff and causing you a problem. So if you're stretching areas that are not stiff, stretching the muscles actually takes some of the power out of them. And if you look at, for example, footballers warming up, they'll do dynamic movement, but they won't do static stretches. So stretching afterwards, it can be really useful. Static stretching beforehand, not necessarily such a good thing. So if you're getting knee pain, whereabouts in your knee is it? Would you say it's just below the kneecap or somewhere else?
It's kind of like just like in the middle of my knee, normally on the inside.
Right. Okay. Okay. And does it just hurt when you run, or does it hurt other times as well?
Not really, just more so when I'm running and probably more like after a run.
Okay. And how long has it been hurting you for? When did it start?
It doesn't do it all the time. It's more so just kind of, obviously recently that I've probably been running more. Yeah.
Okay, fine. So there doesn't need to be a certain amount of conditioning for your joints with running. So even though you were doing other exercise before, and even, for example, rugby, that's different because it's a series of short sprints compared to running where it's may not be so fast, but it's a sustained period. So for any exercise, you need to be conditioned specifically for that exercise. So even though you were fit and you were exercising before, if you've increased the amount of running, maybe that your joints just aren't quite up to it yet. So I'd recommend that you actually cut the distance down on your running for now and then build up gradually.
Okay.
Does your pain come on at the start of the run or like part of the way through or only afterwards?
I'd probably say more so after.
Afterwards, right, okay. Fine.
Or
right,
like
so
the next day.
Or the next day, right, okay. Yeah. Okay, so it's hard to say then how much running is causing your pain. Sometimes people will say they're okay up to a point and then it starts hurting. So I would suggest at the moment, maybe if you want to run 2 or 3 times a week, let's say cut your distance down to 3K, try that for a week or 2 and see how your pain is. And then if your pain's not too bad or it's gone, then you can start to build your running distance back up again. Yeah. So sometimes we get into a vicious circle where you're doing things that keep irritating your joints. And if you keep irritating it, it never gets a chance to recover. But if you step back, you can let it recover and then you can build things up again. So it's not that you shouldn't run, but cut it down for a while, give your knee a chance to calm down and then build up slowly.
Yeah.
Something to try. So I was treating someone a while ago. So she used to run 5K 3 times a week and she was fine. And then she decided to start running 4 times a week. And even though it was only 5K again, her knee started hurting. So her question was, if I'm used to running 5K, why is it now too much for my knee? And I said, it's 5K, but you were doing 15K a week, and now you're doing 20K a week with a bit less recovery time. So that's quite a big difference.
Mm.
So something to try. Do you get pain in your knee when you're doing any other exercises? Like you're doing some of the gym at home classes?
Not really, no.
You don't get pain?
No.
Okay, that's good. That's good. Okay. So some more leg strengthening would be really helpful as well. So like squats, for example. Tiptoes is a really good one because strengthening your calves, that gives you a good shock absorber when your foot hits the ground. So I suggest build up your squats while you cut down your running distance, and I think that probably will sort it out.
Okay, I'll give that a try.
Okay, but if it doesn't sort it out, it may be that there's something going on in your knee that needs looking at. Obviously, it'd be hard to see anyone about it at the moment.
Yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, so try that for now.
Okay.
And be good to sort of hear how you get on. So maybe if you could send me a message in a week or 2, or via the group, and we can sort of chat more if it's not settling down.
Yeah, thank you very much.
You're very welcome. Okay. Right, I see Andrew's joined. Andrew, did you have a question on anything particular?
How often do you recommend stretching?
How often?
Yeah, do you think
yeah,
it's
we were just
daily
talking
thing?
about just before, really. So, do you have any particular painful areas?
It's more for cycling because I do a bit of weight training, then a bit of HIIT as well. And I find when I've been cycling, it sort of shrinks the back of your hamstrings a little bit because you're sat in a funny position for a long time. So it takes a bit of recovering. So I was just wondering if it'd be advisable to stretch. I don't do any stretching, I'll be honest, at the moment, but do you think it'd be worth doing and how often?
Right. And when you feel the muscles tighten up, I mean, that's a natural reaction to exercising. Apart from just feeling tight, but are they actually causing you any pain, or do they stop you doing other things?
No, they don't stop. It feels as if I've been on a 30, 40 mile sort of bike ride,
Yeah.
it's almost as if the hamstrings have gone shorter, is the best way, although it sounds a bit odd. I'm just trying to describe it. It's not painful, but if I was then for a few days after to try and do any stretching, whether it be like, you know, going down to your feet and bending over or anything like that, it's almost impossible.
Right. Okay. So, okay, I would suggest that it would be good for you to do some stretches, for a couple of days afterwards. Standing and bending over to touch your toes actually is a bit of a strain on your back, although it's something people do to stretch the hamstrings. It's better for your back to stretch one leg at a time. Do you know how to do that?
No. Well, I suppose, is it the one where you put one knee down and then you'd sort of go down in a position and just sort of roll it forward each leg?
Let's see. Just going to step back. Can you see me on the camera okay?
I can, yeah.
Right, so... Okay. It's not picking up all of my body. All right, so I'm sitting back, got one leg in front, and I'm going to lean forwards towards one leg.
Yeah.
So, hang on. So can you see I've got one knee bent, the other leg is straight.
Yeah.
I'm going to lean forwards.
Yes.
Okay, so that's one way of doing it. You can also do that sitting on a chair. Okay, but stretching forwards to one straight leg, much less strain on your low back.
Oh, brilliant. And that really, I've done them before, I'd forgotten all about them, but that really isolates the hamstring, doesn't it?
It does, yeah.
Oh, that's brilliant.
That's something to do after you cycle. I was just talking before about static stretches. So not something you should do before you exercise. It takes some of the strength out of the muscle.
Right, okay.
So you would do a warm-up. So you might start off slowly and then go up to your normal speed for cycling. That's fine. It's a cardio warm-up. But yeah, static stretches come afterwards.
Brilliant, that's great. It's probably because I've been stretching before and concentrating before, so you've answered another question there, that it's probably not been worth doing. Right.
Yeah, so yeah, try that and see if that helps. Do you get any issues with your low back at all?
Luckily, I've always been kind of okay with my back and not had any issues, which is probably lucky now you've mentioned I've been doing them wrong.
Yeah. Good, because I mean sometimes tight hamstrings can cause low back pain. So if your back's okay, it means you don't need to go crazy over stretching them loads.
Yeah, you do get a bit of discomfort in your back when you're cycling, but at the end of the day, you're craned over in quite a savage position for long periods of time, and it's more discomfort than a back issue. I think everybody gets a bit.
Right. So do you do some back stretches after you cycle?
No, I haven't been, no. Okay.
So as you say, yeah, exactly. You're bent forwards over the handlebars. So then it'd be really good to do some back stretches where you're stretching backwards. You just stand and lean back.
Yeah, okay.
Or you can, I mean, if you don't want to do that standing, you can do it lying on your front and then arch your back as well.
Oh, like the seal exercise where you push up with your hands.
Yes, that's it.
Yeah, okay. I'll try that.
Good, okay, brilliant.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. You're welcome, Andrew. So I was just saying to our other caller just before, it'd be good to hear how you get on. So if you could send me a message in a week or two, just to let me know if that's helping.
Yeah, I'm not sure I'll be able to get out on the bike.
Any advice, try and give the best advice we can.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
No, I'll do
great,
that.
Thanks.
No, that's great. Cool. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. You're welcome. Right, okay. So I was going to talk through a few other problems that people get. So I'm actually going to start off with low back pain. So now that we're all stuck at home a lot of the time, even if you're keeping fit and active and exercising some of the time, we're tending to spend a lot of time sitting, either sitting on the sofa watching TV, sitting at a laptop, or sitting looking at a mobile phone. And all that sitting can put some strain on our low backs. Even if we're sitting really well, sitting for a long time can put a strain on your back. And a lot of people, if they're at home and don't have the best chair to sit on, then that's worse. So important to really get up and move often, even if all you do is walk from one room to the other room and come back again. A lot of people, when they're sitting, tend to slump. So so this is slumping, sort of slumping forwards. So that tends to put a lot of strain on the low back and on the neck and shoulders as well. So it's really important that if you are sitting for a while, you do some extension stretches like bending backwards. Also just going to show you a few stretches for the neck and shoulders. So just move the camera again.
Stephen, I've actually got a question.
Oh yeah, okay.
Sorry, it might actually relate to what you're going to say now, but
Okay.
basically, like if I'm sitting at my desk,
Yeah.
I get a lot of pains like in the shoulder blade, you know, in the middle.
Yeah.
And I find it really hard to stretch that. I don't, because obviously it's quite an awkward position. It's just knowing like what to do with that really, because that obviously then goes up to the neck and then obviously to the back of the head. But so that might, you know, you might explain that now anyway, but.
Yeah. So are you working from home at the moment then?
I'm not. I'm just doing a course, which means I just sit at my desk.
I see, right. Is that something you've started just recently?
Well, just revising at the minute.
Right, okay.
So just sat at my desk, yeah, obviously during lockdown, I've got more time to do it.
Okay, so do you have a fairly upright chair to sit on?
Yeah.
Okay, good. Are you using a laptop or a desktop computer?
A laptop.
Okay. Right.
But also like writing, which probably means I'm a bit hunched over.
Yeah. Okay, and are you sat like that for a long time?
A couple of hours.
Okay. Right, and a few hours, would that be once a day or a few hours and then a break and then back again for another session?
Yeah, it just depends really, but it kind of starts like quite soon after I've sat down, so maybe within the first half an hour.
Ah, right, yeah, okay. Right. So yeah, so it does sound like it's relating to your posture. A lot of people really struggle to sit upright. So I know whenever I ask people, they can sit upright for a few seconds or maybe a minute, and then they find the muscles get really tired. So if it's not something that you train for, it's very easy to lose that position and slump. So as I was starting to say just before, so when your muscles get tired and you slump forwards, that really pulls the muscles between your shoulder blades and the muscles between the neck and shoulder as well. And while you're sitting for all that time, those muscles just keep stretching and getting more and more painful. So you have to really try and keep straightening up and bringing the shoulders back. And you have to just keep doing it. So, you know, if you're stretching before or after exercise, well, after, you know, you'd never hold a stretch for hours. Of course not. You'd hold it for maybe 30 seconds or a minute. But sitting and slumping is like stretching those muscles for a couple of hours, and they're going to get inflamed. So also, when you have a laptop, it does tend to make you look down at the screen. So looking down and throwing your head forwards really pulls the muscles between your neck and shoulder. So if you do that for a short time, it's not so bad. Or if you can elevate your computer so you can look straight ahead, that will be better. what I suggest to a lot of people is that they set an alarm on their phone to go, depends how much work pressure you're under. For some people, it's every half an hour. For you, it might be every quarter of an hour. And when your phone alarm goes, you just sit up straight and do some stretches, and that stops that strain building up in your muscles.
Right.
It's surprising how posture seems like such a little thing, but it can really cause a lot of pain, a lot of strain in the muscles.
Yeah.
So just going to show you like a couple of stretches to do. And you probably don't have tightness in the muscles, it's just the strain from the way you're sitting. So, okay, so assuming that you're slumping, you want to sit up as straight as possible, bring your shoulders back and squeeze together. And let's say try and do that for 30 seconds to a minute. Also, when you're slumping and your head is forwards, okay, try to tuck your chin in. Like this is a really good stretch for your neck here. Okay. Now, when you stretch, you're taking your body as far as it will go. If you then let your body completely relax and come forwards, you set that strain off again.
Yeah.
So it's really trying to do the stretches and then stay a little bit upright the rest of the time. And if you keep doing it every 15 to 30 minutes, it will get easier. And as it gets easier and you're upright for longer, your body will start to feel better. But it's a process. We've got to sort of keep our body up against gravity all day. It's a challenge.
Yeah, it's remembering, isn't it? Remembering to do it.
Yeah. So if you have your phone alarm going all the time, then that will remind you and it will stop you forgetting. So you can carry on working, or your stretches only need to take a minute, and you can still keep looking at the screen while you're stretching. So you don't have to sort of leave your work and go and stretch somewhere else for half an hour and then come back to it.
Yeah.
So does that help?
Yes, it does. Yeah, thank you.
Good. I mean, it is worth doing exercises to strengthen your upper back muscles. But if you strengthen your muscles by doing, let's say, 3 sets of 10 with some weights, that's different to sitting up straight for half an hour, just your body weight, but it needs a lot more stamina. It's a different way of working your muscles.
Yeah. Do you know any stretches that stretch that area in between the shoulder blades?
You just pull them back and squeeze them together.
Right, okay.
So, right, so you can either just pull them back and squeeze them together like that, or take your arms out to the sides and then pull them backwards. You get a little bit more of a stretch. Again, you're probably not very tight. It's probably just the strain of sitting like that for long periods of time. So the stretches can help you feel better for a short while, but if you don't keep your body in the right position, then they just start straining again.
Yeah.
So the stretches help you along the way, and then you've got to try and keep upright the rest of the time. And it takes some work, it takes a lot of getting used to. So it's just building that up over time.
Yeah.
So,
well, I'm currently sat here slumped.
Oh, right, yeah. Yeah, like most of the country at the moment.
Yeah.
So what exercise equipment have you got at home?
I've none, to be honest. Just a kettlebell and resistance bands. That's it.
Okay, that's great. That's great. Okay, so so exercises for strengthening your upper back. Okay, so this comes from Pilates. So if you're holding a stretch band, okay, you're going to keep your elbows tucked in and then just take your hands apart. Okay, and as you do that, you're bringing the shoulders back and together, and then that's going to help strengthen those muscles. Okay, you see what I'm doing?
Yeah.
So if you just do pull and let go repetitions, it's not working the stamina in the way that you need for posture. So you also need to do pull back and hold. And then the longer you hold it for, the more you work on the stamina of those postural muscles. Okay?
Yeah.
So that's really helpful. And then also, so since you've got a kettlebell, so do you know the bent over row?
Yeah.
Yeah? Okay, yeah. Also really good exercise for your upper back. Okay, so you just do as many as you can. Really about building up a lot of stamina in those muscles.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, sure. Right. Okay, so I was going to talk about some exercises for the shoulders and shoulder and neck pain. So that covers what I was going to talk about for that area. So, so thank you for that. And then for low back pain, if we're slumping over, when you slump forwards, that's pulling all the muscles in your back and pulling the ligaments and squashing the discs. So stretching backwards just helps take the pressure off. So that would be, for example, just leaning backwards as a stretch. You can put your hands in your low back. So what I was talking to Andrew for about being on the bike, that stretching backwards can be really helpful. Any stretch, if you do it for a really long time, it can start to ache. So you just do it for 15 to 30 seconds at a time. And the thing is, just do it regularly through the day. Again, with working our posture, if you can sit upright with good, strong low back muscles, then those strong muscles will be supporting you. That's really helpful. So for strengthening the low back, be things like doing squats with weights or lying on your front doing a back extension. If anyone does the deadlift, for example, or squats, really good for strengthening the back. I'm not sure if the camera will show me doing a back extension lying on the floor, but that's lying on your front and you just sort of lift your head and shoulders and hold as long as you can. It's really good for strengthening all of the back. But with posture, it's really, even if you've got strong muscles, it's just being aware of your position and keeping it going throughout the day, or keep yourself moving. Okay, so I was also going to talk about something called runner's knee, which is a tendonitis just below the kneecap. So if you feel just below the bone of your kneecap, there's a soft area, which is the tendon attaching to the lower leg. So that tendon helps to straighten your leg when you're doing a squat, or straighten your leg when you take a step, when you're running. So sometimes people can get an overuse injury there, and possibly cycling as well. If you get an overuse injury, that can be really sore in that tendon. And then it's something where you really have to reduce the exercises to let it heal. Otherwise, if you try and exercise through it, it just stays inflamed the whole time. So if you get tendonitis there, again, some exercises like squats, body weights, or with some light weights can help strengthen it, but without doing long runs that makes it really inflamed and keeps it inflamed. So also going to talk about the shoulders. So just at the tip of the shoulder, sort of between the ball and the socket, there's a tendon. It's part of the rotator cuff, which are the muscles that hold the ball in the socket of the shoulder. So if anyone's getting any pain lifting their arm up, especially lifting up overhead, that pain is usually from catching the tendon. So I've seen quite a lot of people that get that from lifting weights, whether lifting up overhead, shoulder press, or from doing very heavy bench presses or lots of press-ups. So if they get that pain there, it's really, you have to stop doing those exercises that make it hurt and do some rotator cuff strengthening exercises to help rebalance the shoulder. So the rotator cuff exercises, the best ones are one that I showed just before for the shoulders, for the stretch band. Sorry. Right, so really good one for the rotator cuff muscles, holding the band and turning outwards. Or if you have access to a pulley at the gym, pulling the pulley attached to a block of weights, pulling outwards. And then also for the rotator cuff, pulling backwards. So I've got my stretch band here. Okay, pulling the arms straight back. You can do this with both arms together. Straight backwards. So that's really good for strengthening the back of the shoulder. So we've talked about posture and slumping, and if we're slumping, that tends to irritate that shoulder because it puts it in a bad position. So those two exercises pull things back, strengthen the rotator cuff that supports the shoulder, and really helps. And then people can go on to doing sort of shoulder pressing and bench pressing or press ups again afterwards, after it's settled down. Again, not to exercise if you have pain, because that just keeps it stirred up and inflamed. Okay, so that covers the sort of main areas I was going to talk about for today. So we've talked a bit about the neck, back, shoulder and the knee. Paul, what do you think? Any questions come in or anything else I should talk about?
But no other questions. I suppose the other one that gets asked quite a bit is hip pain.
Right.
So particularly again from sort of running, walking, tends to be more females, get sort of tightness and pain across the hips. So just wondered if you could cover that briefly.
Yeah, sure. Okay. So I tend to see two problems with the hip. So sometimes it's the side of the hip, and that's tendinitis in one of the support muscles called gluteus medius. So people get tendinitis there. It's a muscle that often is quite weak, even if people are used to a lot of running. And also people can get really tight in the front of their hip, a muscle called the iliopsoas or the hip flexor. So if that's tight, then when they try and straighten their leg as they're stepping, that just pulls on it. So just show. Okay, so hopefully you see my hip here. So if someone's really tight in their hip, they find it really hard to straighten. So as they're running and they're stepping forwards, that can just pull on that tendon there, and that can become quite sore. So that would be an example of something that you should stretch before running, but not stretching other areas, and then to stretch it afterwards as well. So you can stretch that, for example, in a lunge position. Okay, so now as I'm lunging, the stretch is on the front of the hip of the back leg. So one leg's behind the other. That's the stretch there to open up that hip. So you can also stretch the front of the hip by lying on your back with one knee up and letting the other leg lie down straight. And then for the side of the hip, it's not normally something that needs stretching, it just needs strengthening. So for that, that would be abducting the hip, taking the leg sideways. Okay, so let's say I had pain here. This is my right hip. I'll be taking the leg sideways, possibly with a band around the thigh for some resistance. So you can do that standing, although actually more effective to do it lying on your side as you're lifting the top leg, working against gravity. That strengthens the side of the hip. Again, it's not a very big, powerful muscle, so it's really about building stamina. So just doing as many repetitions as possible. And again, if people have pain when they're running or doing other exercise, I recommend that they reduce their exercise until that pain has settled down. So certainly not to stop, just to reduce. What do you think, Paul? Does that?
Yeah,
that do instruction to that?
Yeah.
Cool. Okay. Right. Okay. Anything else you'd like me to talk about at the moment?
I think you've covered everything that's going to be sort of the main common sort of movements and injuries, particularly this time, like you say, working from home, getting out and about, doing probably more outdoor exercise than what they used to, in terms of sort of running, walking, cycling even. So it's going to be using the muscles in a different way to what sort of traditional gym work is doing.
Yeah, no, exactly. It's very easy to overdo it. Sometimes our body feels like it wants to keep going, but actually the joints are saying it's enough already.
And I suppose it's a boredom thing as well. I think a lot of people are doing more exercise in some ways because we are restricted. So they're kind of making the most of that. Oh, we can get outside for an hour. And they're probably going for a longer walk than what they would do normally, or that type of thing. So if they've got dogs, etc.
Yeah. And I mean, if you're walking, doing a lot of walking up and down hills, that's a lot more stress on the joints compared to just walking on the flat.
Yeah.
As well, for example. Yeah. Cool. Okay. Brilliant. Okay.
Just wrap it. Yeah. Just wrap it up there. Really.
Fine. Okay. Brilliant.
Awesome.
All right. Thanks very much, Paul. Thanks everyone who joined in.
Thank you.
I'll stick the video. I'll pop the video up in the group anyway. So obviously, if anyone's got any questions, they can jump on there.
Brilliant. All right. Okay. Thanks, Paul. Take care. Cheers.
Thank you.
Speak to you soon.
You're welcome. Thanks. Bye.
Cheers.
Bye.
Cheers.